words of our fearless leader. Does anyone here know who is George W. Bush's favorite singer-songwriter? You can see why this might be an important question to us, right? Does anyone know who it is? I happen to know, so this is a little brief moment here. Quiz. Anybody know who is George W. Bush's favorite singer-songwriter?
Wagner. That's a good guess. I don't think we've had that one before, actually.
Wagner and the Prince Myshkins together again. Well, all right. I heard an interview with George W. Bush in which he insisted that his favorite singer-songwriter is Paul Simon. Kind of interesting, isn't it? The interviewer apparently felt sort of the same way about that I do, and she then asked him, so, what's your favorite Paul Simon song? And I'm not making this up. George W. replied, "Wake Up Little Susie." So maybe that explains it. In any case, often when you hear the things that come out of these people's mouths, you wonder what must be going through their heads. And this may, of course, be a trick question.
Old Dick Army had a little problem. Well, in fact, he had enough to fill a bank. But this song is just about a little problem which he always seemed to have around Barney Frank. And not even a dozen expensive image counselors could keep that cat from escaping from the bag. When old Dick Army opened up his mouth, that cat jumped right out and said, "Barney, fag." And that's what we call a Freudian slip. And what it says about this majority whip is that sexual behaviors of a certain kind rarely, if ever, leave his mind. But I gotta tell you, Dick Army, with a name like yours, it's easy to see how your homo fixation might be hard to avoid. So don't try to blame it on Freud, Dick. Don't try to blame it on Freud.
Now that was going to be the end of this song, but one of the problems that political satirists are having these days is too much material. Also, the strange and kind of upsetting fact that a lot of the material that arrives on our desks, as it were, to satirize, seems to arrive in a kind of a pre-satirized form. So there's not a whole lot we can add to it. So we were forced to add a few verses to this song, starting with this one.
Old tricked lot had a little problem.
Well, perhaps little is really not the word,
but it's like that tree falling in the forest. It wouldn't be a problem if no one heard when he said Mississippi was such a fine example of race relations in 1948. And if only the country had followed that example, we'd have saved ourselves some trouble. I mean, oops, wait. And that's what we call a Chomskyan slip. History redrawn as a comic strip, where Strom is at the rudder and Jesse's at the helm, and everybody's shouting, "Abandon ship." I guess you didn't listen when your mom said, "Don't go to parties for guys named Strom." So it's over for you, Trent. You best head home. And don't try to blame it on Gnome, Trent. Don't try to blame it on Gnome. Old Dick Cheney had a little problem. Yes, we know, but that's another song. In a boardroom full of energy commissioners, he pulled out this remark that's just grade A wrong. And later, under fire, he claimed that he was joking, and to put it bluntly, I really wish he was when he said these words. I'm actually quoting, "What did future generations ever do for us?" We call that a Machiavellian slip. It doesn't really fly as a joke or a quip.
It's more of a megalomaniacal delusion,
The kind that these days barely makes a blip.
but
If you wanna make that big career move to stand-up comic, I guess we'd approve.
But when you take the stage deck, you're going solo.
Don't try to blame it on Nicole.
Don't try to blame it on Nicole.
Young G.W. had a little problem every time he'd open up his gaping maw. He first said, he then said, he also said, the world dropped its jaw. He further stated, not to mention, and ultimately, he really broke the bank with turns of phrase like, there's no one here who couldn't fill in the blanks. And that's what we call, well, what is the word? What mental process could ever be inferred as all the major thinkers of modern history peer in the crevice of his skull cavity? They searched for his subconsciousness, but the question they left with was sub-what? All that they found was a deep, dark void. So